Over to the late afternoon slate, looking at San Francisco and Tampa Bay. The Niners, 11.5-point home favorites after that demolition of Jacksonville last week. How are you betting this one, Mo?
Unfortunately, I already bet the Buccaneers. This game doesn't make me feel good. I hate fading the 49ers. I hate betting the Buccaneers even more, I think, because I hate this coaching staff. But, man, this one it's just too high for me. I think it checks a lot of the boxes you want to see. I mean, for one thing, fading the team that looked the best last week. We know how this is a week-to-week league. That's one of the things I look for sure. And obviously, everyone watched the 49ers completely steamroll the Jags. 34-3, I believe, was the final there. Honestly, seemed like it could have been 50-3 the way they were going. So they
really wanted to get Christian McCaffrey that touchdown.
That was embarrassing. It was embarrassing, and I'll just do like a 10-second rant here.
Yeah.
And it's devalues the record, okay? Like, that was really pathetic what they were. I'm glad it didn't work. Anyways, yeah, the Buccaneers, we know what their problems are. They run the ball too often early and put themselves behind the sticks. And they have a quarterback who makes too many mistakes under pressure. But in this game, I mean, those early down runs might keep them on schedule because we've seen the 49ers run D not perform all that well. I don't think a lot of people are talking about it, but they are 27th in EPA per rush, 19th in success rate. We've seen teams like Arizona and Cincinnati that don't really have very strong, or not really known for maybe very strong rushing attacks, have ran the ball well on them. Obviously Cleveland as well, but that's an offensive line that can be dominant at times, so we can maybe be a little more understanding on that one. But overall, I think maybe more 2nd and 6s, 2nd and 5s, 2nd and 7s, rather than the 2nd and 9s and 10s they've been putting themselves in a lot of these spots. And on the other point where you have, the quarterback in Baker Mayfield who has made a lot of mistakes under pressure at times, the Buccaneers offensive line, after a little bit of a slow start, has some pretty good numbers. 7th in adjusted sack rate, 2nd in PFF grade, pass blocking. So against a Niners front that does have some good rushers, but basically never blitzes, so their pressure rate is only a little above average, I think Baker could actually perform like a reasonable quarterback. I know people are going to think that's crazy against the 49ers, but this defense hasn't been that amazing this year. And just overall on both sides of the ball, I mean, the Bucs have a lot of muscle up front to stand up to what the 49ers do when they're just bullying teams like the Jaguars that they can just push around up front. So I think the line's a little bit too high here. So I already took the Buccaneers. I'm not excited about it, but just going past double digits here is just too high for me.
I will say a little bit of a juxtaposition to what the numbers say, just what you brought up with Mayfield under pressure, because I agree on the surface. And when we look back at that Lions game, especially with Tampa Bay coming off the bye, Mayfield struggled against pressure. But overall this year, he's actually performed above league average when you look at pressured completion percentage, ranking 15th among qualified quarterbacks. The passer rating is actually way up from previous seasons. Like last week against Houston, 7 of 11 under pressure. I know that's kind of surface level stats, but nonetheless, 85 yards and a touchdown pass. So, and like you said, Bucs offensive line is performing better than they were earlier in the season. So I like this spot for Tampa Bay. You mentioned San Francisco doesn't blitz nearly as often, and it's also a potential look-ahead spot with the Niners having a huge game, which kind of correlates to my look with Rams and Seahawks. Going to break that game down next, but huge NFC West matchup next week with obviously division title implications on Thanksgiving. So I like Tampa Bay. I'm with you. I don't know if I'm going to bet it, but I'm definitely with you on the number. I make this a little closer to 10.5, 11 with the Bucs and you getting 11.5. So I like your side, man.
Yeah, they do have a big game coming up as well. So, I mean, on the other side, you do have Tampa Bay with a long trip here. So maybe that works against them a little bit. But, 49ers, not known as a tough place to play, really. So hopefully they can just play their normal game. I honestly have been pretty impressed when I've watched Baker Mayfield in several games. I know there's been some frustrating ones where he just won't pull the trigger and is taking some bad sacks. But when he is getting rid of the ball, he has fit into some tight windows at times this year. And he's honestly been let down by his pass catchers in several spots. I mean, everybody knows about the big Mike Evans drops in multiple big plays, but I think there's been even other players dropping multiple passes, and I thought he's actually played pretty well.